What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. This video is brought to you by Audible, and we'll hear more from them later.
Our first question comes from Kara DJ, who asks if Palpatine could have been manipulating Luke's visions of Ben from The Last Jedi.
I kind of don't think so. I think that was all just Luke and his own mind playing, not tricks against him, but I mean, the whole point of that is to say, like, don't judge someone's actions before they do them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't... I mean, unless we find something out in episode 9 about how Palpatine's still been involved in everybody's business this entire time.
All up in their grill.
Just plans on plans on plans. Yeah, I think this was just Luke's Force instinct.
Yeah, I mean, I think he saw a vision of the future, and it didn't necessarily have to be, Yoda says always in motion the future is. Luke didn't see the definite future, but he saw a possible one, and then subconsciously while he was watching that, I mean, we've seen like Rey's visions in the Force and how real they can be. So I think he just kind of like pulled his lightsaber out while he was in this trance. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't see Palpatine having anything to do with that. We do know that Snoke had been messing with Ben by that point, and so that had a little something to do with it. But I think, while I think that Palpatine is involved somehow in stuff that we've seen so far, I don't think that specifically was his doing.
Yeah. Matt GoCubes wants to know what planets from the prequels or originals we could see in episode 9. Well, we actually got a little bit of news today about 2 new planets.
Technically 3 days ago, by the time people are watching this.
Oh, okay. Well, we did get some news about 2 brand new planets they were going to see in episode 9, but
right.
They didn't say anything about anything else.
We have answered this question before, but I don't think we've answered it since like the teaser, and definitely since these pictures came out. So we know that desert planet is another new one. It's desert planet number 87, also called Pisana.
Yeah.
So it's not Tatooine or Jakku or anything like that. And we know that, or we don't know that Endor is going to be in it, but I think that all signs are pointing that direction.
I hope it's Endor.
I do too. I want to see some Ewoks again. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Bring them back. Why? Come on.
I don't know if it is Endor. I don't know if we'll see Ewoks again.
If they go to Endor and we don't see Chief Wicket, I'm gonna throw my drink at the screen. I'm not gonna do that. I won't do that. But I mean, come on. You gotta have at least an Ewok, like guide them to wherever they want to go.
Maybe there's an army of Ewoks just behind Finn and Janna in that promotional picture, just like waiting to come over the hill.
The Orback is blocking them. They're so small.
King style.
Oh yeah, they're gonna blow their horn and then they're gonna charge. Who knows what? Oh yeah, they're fighting mechanized forces.
Yeah,
which makes it sound like battle droids, but it could be walkers. I don't know.
But we know that Ewoks can hold their own against walkers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just like a bunch of Ewoks and logs.
Mm-hmm. They have the high ground.
I'm still hoping for a Mustafar appearance, but we're already going to see 3 new planets, so I don't know. Mustafar sounds like that might be a little too much, too many places to go to, unless like the movie starts on Mustafar with Kylo Ren and then they head off.
Yeah.
Something that just popped up again today or 3 days ago when you're watching this. The Galaxy's Edge 2 comic talked about how Kylo Ren is looking for some ancient Sith artifact or Sith relic of some kind. So, I think that there's still potential for Vader's castle to show up in 9. Yeah. I'd love to see it, but
I mean, in the Vanity Fair video of the guy who wrote the article, he mentions that we're going to go back a little bit and see how the First Order was formed. So we may see a couple of different planets of them going around looking for stuff.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they handle all that, but it looks like we are going to get some answers to some of those mysteries that we've been wondering about. Knights of Ren are coming in.
Yeah.
But as for planets...
Yeah, other than Endor, I don't know any other planets that we have already seen that we'll see again.
Maybe Yavin. I think there's potential there.
Maybe that's where the temple was?
Which temple?
Luke's temple? Because there is a promotional image of Luke, so it's possible we may get another flashback of his temple getting burned.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looked like to me, but I was like, are we going to see this a third time? I mean, maybe. There could still be more to learn there, but
it didn't look like a still image of something from the movie.
No.
It was just like a promotional image that they made. Probably because they don't want to show
how Luke comes back.
Here's what Luke looks like as a Force ghost.
Right.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Okay. So I think Yavin and Endor and maybe Mustafar on that list.
Kevin Kriya asks if we could see any familiar Jedi in Fallen Order.
I think there is potential for that. I would open it up to familiar characters. I mean, I'm on the train that says Barasafi is the second sister.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's always if they're masked, why are they masking a character unless we would recognize them without the mask?
Yeah. What's the time frame again?
We don't know exactly. Just after episode 3.
Okay.
But I could see them kind of going like a Force Unleashed route a little bit. Like they could kind of, maybe our character Cal seeks out some surviving Jedi, and we know that they're out there from the Darth Vader comic. So like Oppo Rancisis, of all people, he's still running around. Maybe we'll see him. And I think that would be cool. Like, let's dive into some of those characters that we didn't get to see much of in the films. They were just there.
Mm-hmm. It would be weird that a Padawan on the run would know how to find them, but I guess maybe we do know that there is someone helping him, not necessarily training the character, but maybe she knows.
Yeah, because she was a former Jedi as well.
Yeah, so maybe she takes him to one of our familiar Jedi friends.
Or maybe the Jedi seek him out. Maybe they're like, oh, this kid needs help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's definitely potential for some familiar characters to show up, even if they're not major characters. Mm-hmm. Kind of like how The Force Unleashed had Shakti, and you got to be one of the 4 ways that she died in Legends.
Yeah. Christian Morales wants to know what color lightsaber Jin's Kyber Crystal would make, if any. So the necklace that her mother gave her. So technically it's Lyra's crystal.
Once she dies, I would assume you'd call it Jin's.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know exactly how lightsabers work, and I'm kind of wondering if they have to be bonded in the Force in some way for them to work in a lightsaber. So I kind of want to say that I want to guess that it wouldn't work at all.
Yeah, if she's not Force sensitive, it may not choose her.
I think it probably needs to bond with a Jedi and take on a color before it would work in a lightsaber. If you swapped hers out for Anakin's blue crystal and he tried to turn it on, I just don't think it would work.
Yeah. But if she were Force sensitive and a Jedi and she made a lightsaber out of it, I would say green. I don't know why.
Oh, you just want to... All right.
Just any color. The green was the one that popped into my head.
I think that makes sense. The green is for more generally, you think of green as kind of the Maverick Jedi, like Qui-Gon and Luke and the Return of the Jedi, Ezra. Mm-hmm. But Yoda, obviously, I wouldn't call him a Maverick, and he has green. But what, are you going to give Yoda, the little green man, a blue lightsaber? Of course it's green.
He's so old, he got to pick his color.
Yeah, he has enough Force talent that he changes it every so often. He just gets to...
He's got one of those LED light changers on the back of his, or he's...
Red today, feeling bad. Feeling naughty I am.
Colby Wade asks if all Jedi Younglings begin their training on Coruscant, or if there are other temples where they learned.
In Legends, they were spread out a little bit. It sounds like, and they've only really touched on this a little bit in Master and Apprentice and in Dooku Jedi Lost recently. It sounds like all of the Younglings are taken to Coruscant, and they're very centralized there, and they kind of grow up in a Force nursery.
Yeah.
We talked about this recently, where that must be a nightmare of just kids floating blocks and floating each other around, and the poor
it's like
babysitters.
Jack in The Incredibles, just who knows what they're capable
Kid
of.
sneezes and shoots force lightning out. Like, what kind of tantrums would a force-sensitive kid throw?
I don't know.
But
that's exactly why they have to keep them all in one place, so that, whole entire villages don't get destroyed from a temper tantrum.
Yeah. So I would expect that maybe there were some occasional kids sent off elsewhere, but I think that from what we've seen so far, they were all centralized on Coruscant at the main Jedi Temple.
Yeah, especially like once the Jedi Order became a thing. Maybe way, way, way back in the day, they were probably spread out. But once Coruscant became the big city that it is...
Yeah, it's probably just like, as the Republic became more and more involved with the Jedi Order, it might even be like, we have to centralize this for government reasons.
Mm-hmm. And Palpatine's like,
Yeah. Like I said earlier, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is a leading provider of audio content and is a service I actually use because I go through a lot of Star Wars books, and audiobooks in particular help me stay on top of my reading list. What I like the most about listening to the audiobooks for Star Wars is that they're very high quality with sound effects and music, so it's like listening to a movie. Recently, Star Wars released its very first audio drama, Dooku Jedi Lost, which we mentioned earlier, all about why Count Dooku left the Jedi Order, and you can get it right now by visiting www.audible.com/Star Wars Explained or by texting Star Wars Explained to 500-500. If you sign up for a free 30-day trial today, you'll get a credit for one audiobook of any price and credits for 2 Audible originals. Once you get an audiobook or audio drama, like if you get Dooku Jedi Lost, it will always be yours. You own that piece of content, even if you cancel your membership. And if you get an audiobook you don't like, you can swap it out thanks to Audible's Great Listen Guarantee, which gives you up to a year to exchange an audiobook you didn't like for one you're excited to keep. That offer lasts for as long as you are a member. Dooku Jedi Lost is available right now if you want to give it a listen, and all the other canon novels have audiobooks as well. If you've been wanting to get into Star Wars books, this is the perfect and risk-free way to try, so visit www.audible.com/Star Wars Explained or text Star Wars Explained to 500-500 and start your journey today.
On to YouTube questions. Nathan Smith asks if Asajj Ventress believed the Separatist movement was something Dooku cared about, or did she know there was something bigger going on?
I tend to think that I think she knew that Dooku had a master. She probably knew there was something else going on, but I also think that she believed Dooku believed in the Separatist movement, because I think he did believe in the Separatist movement.
Yeah.
I think that he did think that his intentions were noble and that he was getting rid of the corruption of the Republic. Dooku Jedi Lost, again, really shows his experiences and why he just became so disenfranchised with the Republic and the Jedi and why he felt he needed to leave. But then all of those intentions got twisted by Palpatine to a point where he's like, I will do anything to realize my vision. Yeah. And he was doing straight up evil stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would recommend listening to Dooku Jedi Lost. It's like a 6-hour listen, I think, but it there's so much in there about Dooku's past, and I definitely agree that he believed in the Separatist movement from the start.
Yeah. I think that everyone except for Sidious was like, we're doing a good thing here. They wanted the Separatist movement to work, and they were rooting it on. I don't even think Dooku knew that there was something maybe bigger going on until Sidious told Anakin to cut his head off.
Yeah. Or maybe like when he had her become the assassin that she eventually becomes. I don't know if maybe she would go home at night thinking like, I wonder if there's something bigger going on here.
Maybe. Asajj, I'm not sure if she was all like, I'm here for the Separatists. Yeah. I think she was probably there more for power.
Yeah, that's kind of what his question is about, though, if she believed Dooku.
I thought it was just if she believed in Dooku. If she believed Dooku believed. But I think she probably didn't. I think Dooku did.
Okay. Fighting Falcon 777 wants to know if Benioff and Weiss could be adapting Old Republic stories like Jedi Lords or the new Sith Wars for their movies.
I don't really think that they're gonna adapt anything. I think especially the films, are going to do new stuff. I could see them being influenced by things, but and like, sure, they could do a new version of the new Sith Wars. Like, it could be the stuff that leads up to Darth Bane. But I don't think they're going to tell it in the same way. Like, if Darth Bane is a central character of their movies, I don't think he's going to have the same backstory. As much as I love that trilogy of books, I would love an adaptation, but I think that they're probably going to do something new, inspired by, not an adaptation.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Jedi Fallen Order game is nothing like any of like the Legends stories of what was happening in that era, but it's more realistic and a brand new story with new characters. They could have something set in the Old Republic, but not necessarily use the same characters that we know from that time.
Yeah, I guess like the trouble with adaptation is that if they were to bring in Darth Revan, like, I just don't think they're going to tell the same story the video game told, and then people are just going to immediately want to compare and contrast the two, myself included. And I think they're probably better off just doing something brand new where we just judge it on its own merit and not whatever came before.
I mean, look at the reception of how directors and writers have handled characters like Luke and Leia that we've known for so long. You know, everyone's comparing to the old movies and the stories
and legends
and like what they think should have happened with those characters. I would say that it's much safer and easier to create new stories with new characters so that you don't have to worry about the audience comparing and having like super high expectations and being half of them liking it and half of them being totally let down.
I guess on the other side of that coin, though, not as many people like played KOTOR as just watched the original trilogy and stuff. So if they just said, hey, we have this character named Revan and he looks cool, doesn't he? And like, we told a new story about him, only the people that played the game would be like causing trouble online.
Yeah, I think if they ever bring Revan back, it'll be for a TV show on Disney Plus. I don't think it would be a story meant for, you know, the major population.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, they could do a movie and most people would see it and be like, oh, what a neat new character. And the hardcore nerds would be like, oh, you ruined Revan, but that is probably going to be an even smaller number than the people we're seeing now. So it's like, they could do it. I just don't think they will. I think, Revan would be better fit for a more niche story, be it a book, a comic, a TV show, where like that's kind of where all the nerds hang out anyway. Where like the farther down you go, that's where like the comics I kind of consider to be maybe where the most invested fans read those, and not so much just the people that watch the movies.
Yeah, a good example is like the Mandalorian TV show. Jon Favreau obviously wanted to make a TV show about Boba Fett, and they were like, no, make something new.
Yeah.
So we might get a show that's like kind of like Revan, but not.
Sure.
He could be called Devin.
Darth Devin.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Padawan of Christ asks how Obi-Wan's lightsaber was sabotaged in Master and Apprentice if the Force is required to assemble one in the first place.
So this kind of worked out because we already talked about like unbonded Kyber Crystals, and
sort of a spoiler for Master and Apprentice.
Yeah, I guess if you haven't read Master and Apprentice and you want to, we're about to talk spoilers. But there's this new type of almost Kyber crystal called a colon crystal, and it's orange, and they can be basically used to create shields that lightsaber can't cut through. They're energy shields. Well, someone sabotages Obi-Wan's lightsaber and puts in a colon crystal instead of a Kyber crystal, and it still turns on, but it produces an orange blade that it can stun people but not kill them, but it can also cut through those energy shields. Anyway, I had that kind of same question where I was like, but they're not force sensitive. How'd they sabotage that? So I would guess that just the mere fact that it was a colon crystal and not a kyber crystal meant that...
Yeah, they basically jerry-rigged it.
Yeah, they just popped a crystal and they weren't expecting it to work. And they only swapped crystals out so that Obi-Wan wouldn't notice like the difference in weight. So...
Which is real... I don't know. That's... Okay.
Is it too much? So, yeah, I guess just... You don't have to be force sensitive to put a colon crystal in. And the lightsaber, for whatever reason, will still function. But yeah, for a kyber crystal that's imbued with the power of the force, that you have to use the force to install and align it perfectly. And that's all I got, is that we don't know how colon crystals work exactly, but I guess they work if you just throw one in and it's in the basic right place.
Yeah, I mean, definitely read Master and Apprentice, because the idea behind them and that whole scene is really cool and interesting. I'm curious to see if we see them again anywhere.
Probably in books. I couldn't see them popping up in the movies for some reason, but...
I don't know. One thing that bugged me was they produced an orange light.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the name colon crystal should produce a brown light.
Oh.
Vildarin wants to know where Palpatine got his Kyber crystals.
I assume
crystals are us. I'm telling you, we've said
that's where General
again.
Grievous got his. We're gonna take that to the bank.
Yeah. Also Batu.
Yeah, so yeah. You can go to Batu and just buy them now.
Mm-hmm.
But he made such a big stink to Vader about how you got to track down a Jedi and kill them and take their crystal. Maybe he was just making that up as a test to Vader, but for now, I will assume that Sidious did the same thing.
Maybe he took Darth Plagueis's crystal and broke it in half
to make two.
Uh-huh.
See, I don't think that counts because he was already a Sith, so that's just cutting out the middleman.
Right. Palpatine just gets away with stuff.
I mean, he does. So like that's why I don't know how strictly he was like following the rules, but Plagueis may have made him do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to assume that he killed 2 Jedi, he took 2 lightsaber crystals, he bled them. But there is a reference book, one of the cross-section books that shows in his like hospital / vaults of Sith relics where Darth Vader was put in the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has a giant Kyber crystal and it says that he uses slivers of it to like make lightsaber crystals. I think that's probably what he did for the Inquisitor lightsabers. Again, maybe he cheated, but that's a possible answer.
He's just got one big one that he's just taking little chunks out
chiseling away at
every once in a while. I believe that. Rakaman asks if Lucas originally intended for Sifo Dyas to be Palpatine because of the similarities in their names.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, Sifo Dyas was basically created out of a typo.
Yep. From everything that I've read, it was originally going to be Sido Dyas, and then someone accidentally slipped an F in there because it's right next to D on the keyboard, I guess. And then from that, George was like, yeah, okay, we'll just make a new character. Like, he just changed the way his story was going to go off of a typo.
Yeah, but I think it worked out for the best because I like the character of Sifo Dyas and I like all of his stuff in Master and Apprentice.
The more that I'm learning about him from, I think he was more in Jedi Lost, but the more I learn about Sifo Dyas, the better I feel about it.
Yeah,
because he is an interesting character. It's just like when you're watching the movie, it's so convoluted.
Yeah, I guess before we learned more about him, it was like, wait, who? What now? It didn't make a whole lot of sense, but now we got a little bit of him in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he was in season 6. Well, like a vision of him was in season 6, and they find his crashed ship and lightsaber and stuff. So
yeah, and then we get a lot of him in Master and Apprentice. So.
Dooku Jedi Lost.
Dooku Jedi Lost.
They're very closely intertwined.
I read them almost simultaneously.
But yeah, the answer to your question is yes. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel,
follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook,
and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.